yesterday without fail in their unending, well, no, in this saga's like unending quest to not allow me to work on anything else. Something hit related to medical properties trust that is actually like really important. So I need to talk about it. Someone else in the marketplace released a report about one of their tenants called Swiss Medical Group. And this is an interesting one because let me try to explain it a little bit. So in 2019, Medical Properties Trust bought a company that is a propco called Infracore in Switzerland from a company called Avis, AEVIS, and also made an investment into Avis, the opco, right? So the parent and the tenant. So again, it was a case where they were making both an investment in the real estate and in the operator / tenant, despite being a REIT. Avis owns a company called Swiss Medical Group, which is the tenant that leases the properties from Infracore. Later, MPW bought up their interest in Infracore up to 70%. It's still a JV. It's still unconsolidated. They claim they don't have control over it, but I think that's one of the issues that are in question here. And, we'll probably get a closer look at that and figure that out later. But importantly, along the way, MPW made additional investments into Avis and Swiss Medical Group. So if you think about the numbers here, and there's a lot of stuff in this report that I don't have a view on because I candidly, it's going to take a lot of examination. I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but here's what I do know. This Propco JV that MPW owns 70% of generates about $60 million plus or minus of cash rent per year. At 70%, that obviously means that MPW shares 42, right? So $42 million of rent less interest would be their earnings theoretically, but importantly, $42 million is their share of rent. Well, again, like you like to say, Keith, again and again, over the last 3 years, or now 4 years, MPW has invested $200 million in the OpCo parent and the OpCo subtenant. So if you think about what that means, again, they've invested more money out the door to the party that pays the rent than they've received back in rent. So the questions are, A, how does that continue? Right? It's not an economic relationship. B, how do you consider that rent and cash earnings and cash flow as actual earnings? Maybe not actually under GAAP rules, but practically speaking, for all intents and purposes, from an economic perspective and evaluating the company. And then number 3, we're staring down the barrel. And I tweeted this morning. If you look at their tenant list, more than half of their rent and more than half of their cash flow, EBITDA, earnings, you name it, pick their assets, whatever, their gross investment is being propped up by the landlord. Factually, so we've been saying this for a while, but it's kind of, you're just picking off the individual tenants, right? One by one, we're just seeing the same thing over and over and over again. And I posit to people, I posit to the authorities. What is that? What is that? I know what it is, or I think I know what it is, but what is that? It's just another example of the same thing that we've been calling out for a year and a half. This cannot be allowed to continue. This has to end. It has to. It's not acceptable. It is not acceptable behavior. It's a black mark on capitalism. It's a disgrace that more than half of the analysts still have a buy on it, including 2 reports last week affirming their price targets and their outperforms up to $10 all the way down from 25. It is it is the worst situation that maybe has ever occurred in the REIT market. I hope it's the worst we ever see. It is a monstrosity. It cannot be allowed to continue. Someone else needs to step up and say no mas. Because it's just beyond unacceptable. That's it.
Mic drop. It gets back to it too, and many of you have listened to this for a long, long time now, because this isn't a new one, although it's not a new situation, although everything Rob says is new, albeit less and less surprising, because it's a pattern of behavior, right? It's a pattern of behavior of unprincipled people that are willing to break rules and have laws of, that are only unto them, applicable evidently, until somebody actually in this country steps up. Like, I mean, you wonder why sometimes I go off on the macro show or in the early look. I mean, if I were to give you $100,000, I'm your landlord, I give you $100,000, and then you just pay me the rent with my money, and I call it income. Like, just think about what's going on. I mean, it's like
that's rules, actually what's happening. Like, that is what's happening. Like, yeah,
I get it. I mean, everybody gets it. And it's like, if Keith McCullough did anything even near the gray line of accounting rules, legal, SEC, anything, I'd be in fucking jail like tomorrow. Okay. 100% chance, because they don't like me, our organization, our truth revealing exercises, but they get to do whatever they want. Yeah, they can do whatever they want in this country. They
have, but no more. But not anymore. Not if I have anything to do with it.
But it's like a joke at this point, for those of you that have friends that are regulators, or for those of you that are regulators watching this. I mean, to stand idle is indeed a threat, and has been an ongoing threat to, never mind capitalism, the purest of definitions of capitalism, which is American capitalism, right? Which is based 100% on this thing called the rule of law. Okay? So let's move on. But, points taken, mics dropped. For those of you that are in a position of, again, prosecuting people like this, do your fucking job. Come on, let's go.
Hey there, Hedgeye Nation, or if you're not part of Hedgeye Nation, thanks for watching Hedgeye on YouTube. If you haven't already, make sure to click on the button below there. Subscribe to our YouTube page. You can also follow the link in the description to our website to get even more great investing content.